We're back in Scrap Mechanic. Today we're gonna do something just a little bit different. Basically, we're just going to take a look at a few vehicles that I made, and I wanted to like upload a couple things to the workshop, and I've already, well, hold up one second. Okay, so let's get this. We'll come back to this guy here. So what I've got here, we all know the Quackers flatbed as one of my favorites that I've pretty much built in every one of my worlds because of its versatility. So of this thing, and the liftgate's more optional. My buddy's has a farm. The one that I built for my buddy in his world has a farmer grabber on the back, and then it also has a really cool hitch mechanism that is seated between the wheels back here. But as you can see, it's mostly tier 3 concrete as the main part of the frame or chassis. And it's almost like you almost need tier 3 or higher, or level 3 or higher suspension on this in order to get it to ride correctly, or at least the ride height that you'd want in a vehicle like this. But I've recently changed up the front steering so that the steering bearing is on the outside of the wheel, essentially. So if we jump into this guy, if we can. There we are. Can we... Yep, there we go. Now we're in. And I think I need to move... Yeah, I need to move that bumper. Great. So if I were to move the bumper out of the way, jump back in this. Come on. Here we go. Yeah, that's better. I need to flare out the fender and make the... Yeah, I need to flare out the fender because this side turns further than that side, I think. Yeah. So, I need to make that change. But typically with this guy, I'll probably make that change and re-upload. But typically, I have that gas tank right here. And then I'll have a bunch of resource collectors and chests. Like, in this middle section, you can put a floor on here and throw some chests in there, you know? And then, of course, my Mark II liftgate, which I just need to modify it and get it set up correctly. On my main save world, it's just a 2-bearing gate. This is 6 bearings, a little more complicated. And I dropped it down to 2 bearings just to save on complexity and lag and all that jazz. So that's Quackers. Yep, the Quackers flatbed. And then I have my tube frame truck, which this is not the configuration I had it in my survival world. My survival world, it was very much a modular platform that I put a farmer cage on the back, and I had my mining tooling on the front. But this was just to illustrate basically my first car in Scrap Mechanic. My first car that I actually spent materials on rather than the, the go-kart that you initially make. And the turning sucks on it, and, probably because all of the suspension are no, they're not as rigid as they can go. Let's tear these all the way down. And then make the back ones just to the point where they're gonna squish. Right? So if we go one more, and this one go one more. So just to the point where they're gonna squish. I'll leave the front one's a little more rigid, so they're always in contact with the ground, but yeah. Now it turns a little better, but it's all about the drift right now. And in my survival world, this is probably like 4 blocks wider, and had dualies on the back. Let's see if we can change that to resist the want to frame roll real bad. Yeah, that's way better. Not that I have any landmarks to go off of. I mean, it's just literally those 2 that are turned all the way down. They have some travel. Oh wow! I thought this was supposed to be flat. It's really not flat. And that's the edge of the world apparently. But yeah. And then I have one I've been working on. Is a electric skid drive, proof of concept. And I call this a skid drive. Most people call it tank drive because it's their main reference for this type of turning. But I know it as, it's the drive that you put on skid loaders. So I call it skid drive. But I need to figure this out so that I can hold down the forward button and still turn. Because right now that's just all OR gates. But yeah. And you can drive from a bathtub. Don't need a seat. You can drive from a bathtub. Travel in style. But this is really just a proof of concept, so to tell myself, yeah, I can do this. I just need to figure out the programming now. And then I need to change my key binding so that I have, like, let's call it YHGJ or YGHJ as 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1, 3, 2, 4. Same as WASD. So I can just drive with those instead. But I'll upload that probably and give it a try. So we're gonna switch over to the Zimbabwe-kun world and take a look at those vehiculars. So we'll be back. All right. Oh, we're at the gas station. Okay, so again, Quackers truck. This is, I think, the Mark II Quackers truck. And again, main survival world. The gate is just that. And looks like we ran afoul of a tape bot here. So right now the flyer's in the back of the truck because apparently this is just after I parked the truck. After I cleaned up that Yeah, these are all the parts from the from throwing stuff off the warehouse. All right. So Quackers, truck, and flyer. I think that's like the Mark IV flyer that I have. You can get by with making a flyer with just two thrusters, provided you have a stabilizer and all the suspension glitches to kind of make all the control surfaces work. I'm just gonna do a quick little. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna drive my sorry little status back to base here, and we'll continue from there. And right now, this thing is just full of warehouse parts. Like that's full of antenna parts. Not really my intention to showcase that. I'm just gonna run that upstairs. Okay. Then you antenna parts, which I should have left at the gas station. I suppose they're gonna see more use here though, with putting that platform, finishing up the supports for that platform, which is really why I wanted them. And more warehouse parts. Now, whether or not my elevator is going to handle all this is another question, you know. Um, Here we go. So resource collectors, and then I have an extra switch for the gate. And really, this gate is just so that I can jump up there while I'm loading this thing, you know. And then, as I said in the creative side, the fuel tank's right here in the middle. There's a fridge. I could probably sink the engine down a block, and it'd be just fine. This is the timer for the fruit launcher, or the produce launcher right here. So I think it's number 3. Sends the produce launcher out and extends the boot. And the boot is just essentially to keep this on the same plane as the produce receivers at the packing station, so that when I load it, this doesn't drop below. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily an issue nowadays, like if they fix that or not, but as you can see, that gives us a little bit of a kick, which is what we're after. And then I have cargo lamps. Now, the bed is on the outside because this is my buddy's. This is the seat that I always stick my buddy in when he's in my world. So let's do this. Let's put the bed down in here where it normally is. Wait a minute. Oh. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that that would fit there, but put the bed right there. And then I have this chest on the wall where I usually just stick that seat. And this is usually just the sleeper cab. But we have 3. And we have 6 for that timer. And that pumps the stuff out. So let's put that away. And then of course I have my refinery down here, which feeds my whole crafting system. Take these two guys off of here. And what I might do is I might check the farm and see if there's enough produce in the farm. Oh, you dropped out of there because you were stuck to the resource collector. Aha! I have another chest to stick on the elevator. The elevator's not going to go up with all this weight on it. I can tell you that right now. I have reservations. Oh, they're all generator parts. Okay. Oh, it will go up. Fantastic. But will it rag... Oh, yeah. Will it ragdoll me on the way down because of all the weight? No, no, it's good. Alright. Alright, so we're gonna pin this up. And we'll wait for daylight with this because it's being a butt. Yay, daylight! Alright. Open up the garage here. So my refinery truck and, you know, people call it Bobcat, it's a skid loader. Bobcat is a company that makes skid loaders, among other things that they make, like mini excavators and several other implements. But not all skid loaders are Bobcats. So one of the things I might do with this truck is I might take the refineries and drop them down lower. And the reason why this thing is as beefy as it is as far as the number of wheels and bearings is if I don't have that and I focus on mining and I have two refineries, I always get bearing flop. Kind of no matter what. So my solution to that was to make this. You know, two separate vehicles welded together, and then having a nimble miner to be able to mine and break things down and throw things in here. It's not the most efficient, but it's what I wanted to do with this. And, you know, it gave me an opportunity to basically take the framework of that truck over there and apply it to a dedicated refinery vehicle. Sort of just as a, you know, just for the giggles of it. But 3 axles in the back, and they're solid mounted, they're not on suspension. The 2 axles in the front are on suspension, and that's just to make sure that I always have ground contact while turning. And then this is just a implement attachment for the skid loader. And I only have one little, I had to cut into the frame in order to drop these down to the point where they were useful for picking things up. But it's essentially just that truck modified into having the refineries and a spot to place the skid loader. You know, and I might be able to, since those are on a higher plane than the rest, I might be able to swap this around so that, you know, drop the wheelbase of the skid loader so it's a little smaller, and I might be able to park it right there and have the refineries on the back where they would make use of these 6 bearings. But, you know, that's, you know, maybe a story for a different time. So then we have the Mark, I think it's the Mark 3 or 4 Flyer. And as I was saying at the gas station, you can kind of get away with just using 2 thrusters as long as you have all the control surfaces figured out. And there are ways to make this a little more compact. But essentially you need the motor for the pitch, And then the steering is your roll, and then I have two controllers for the yaw, just these guys here. And this is a lot to carry on a flyer. Two big chests, a passenger seat, and a beacon. And the 6 thrusters is a little excessive. This thing can probably get away with just 4 thrusters, but I built excess thrusters because I lost a flyer and didn't know if I was going to get it back. So that's kind of where that stems from. But this is also another reason why, like, exploring the map with this thing has given me a better understanding of sort of how the procedural generation works, and kind of given me more ideas for where to put a base. But the entire purpose of the boat is just to get you to different positions so that you can then launch the flyer from and have a little more fuel efficient. But this thing is not fuel efficient at all. But the purpose of the boat, sorry, I might be getting very Minnesotan Canadian with my pronunciation of boat, but oh no, I'm in the water. What do I do? What do I do in the water? Oh no. I need to get out of the water. Come on. Come on. There we go. So this goes right onto there, and now, did I plug that in correctly? Yep. So now I should be able to delete that block, and we still float, probably just barely. And we now have a flyer to transport the boat in. It's so silly. It is the silliest thing I've built so far, but it's great fun. Now, say I need to reverse or just stop. I can swing the thrusters around to reverse. And I have suspension glitches for turning. The thrusters also turn, but they turn unnecessarily. I have a bit of a roll problem with it, but you need to turn off the reverse. Yeah, it is quite honestly a level of ridiculous, but you can understand the concept I was going for, like just get it close enough to be a viable option. Let's get this swung around. Whoop, whoop. We're close enough to the dock there. I get stuck inside this thing, and it's just... This thing is more of a pain in the ass than it should be, truly, but... I'll get it figured out eventually, and have a boat transport for the flyer. These thrusters will need to be upgraded once more, and then it should be a little bit faster. Then, play with the idea of maybe using more thrusters, but just that little jaunt. Use 12 fuel. Use what? 12 fuel, 6 and 5, so 11 fuel just for that little jaunt back and forth. Thrusters are quite inefficient. However, they don't need to be terribly efficient because fuel is more or less free as long as you can pump it. So Right now, I'm going to go check and see if I have any produce to, you know, show off the load capabilities of the truck. So give me 2 seconds here. Okay, so I don't have enough for that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plant, and we'll just time lapse through the growth. Hoping I can clear this out before it incurs another raid, but that might not happen. We should be good now, actually. Yeah, we should be good now. Okay. Okay, put some of this stuff away just to see what we have. Pin them up. Okay, we're gonna grab. So we wanted all the bananas and all the blueberries. So that's 6 crates. 9 crates. And we're running out of inventory space very quickly. There we go. That will do. Yeah, that will do. Alright, and we just want to do a... No, we're low on beets for whatever reason. Okay, well. So that's 10 crates. Yeah, let's just do the, that's 13, but it takes us to both packing stations. So, we'll pop back in with the truck at the fruit packing station, I think. Alright, and without the resource collectors in it, she's a little drifty and doesn't really like to turn. But, okay. A little bit of lag as we pull up here. So that's pineapple. We don't have any of those, so let's go directly to oranges. Alright, then we can hop over here. We can load it through this hole here. Just do full oranges. And then we hit number 3. And it looks like we're receiving. Good. Yep, we're receiving. Alright, so I'm just going to extend this ramp slightly. Okay. We have an orange crate. Alright. Okay, we can access through that hole there, and this is blueberries, right? So we should be able to load up the blueberries. And all this should be receiving and all that good gold great stuff. Hit 6, and we are launching. Now I may have to load from the ground here, which is going to take us to... Just have to crouch to do that. Caught it. And this should be able to slide out to... Yep, there should be one space in the middle. Because it's an odd width. Yeah, load the front of the truck or front of the trailer first. Okay, pop in. Pull up to the next one. Let's toggle that off. And then we just have to crouch in here, I think. Nope. There we go. And bananas. Okay. And it says it's receiving. Good. Crank it up. What do we got here? We have the crates come down from the hopper. Huh, alright. And this is crate number 8. And as you can see, this thing is pretty much designed for 10 crates. But you can put some across the top. So the three tomatoes that we'll have will probably just be right on top. Okay. So then we can tear that down. We can close the lift gate. Oh, I'm one longer than I had anticipated. Okay. Alright. And bring that back in. And head to the next one. So, oh. She wanted to roll there. This is the purpose of this truck. Essentially, what the truck was built for, and then all the other stuff just was like, oh, it's useful for exploring, and it's useful for transporting stuff, and it's useful for, well, transporting stuff, but it's useful for running over haybots and, you know, transporting warehouse items and things of that nature. So I feel like it's grown beyond its original purpose. Did he die? Looks like he died. But I didn't suck up his spine because I don't have a resource collector on here. And you can transport with the resource collectors on. I just didn't put them back on after I took them off to get the spines refined. Alright, let's start with the beets. Gotta drop the beets. Oh, I left my, oh dear. Well, I guess we weren't... Oops. Forgot to turn that off. There we go. Okay, well, we can still... Yeah. I guess we're just doing tomatoes. Across the top. My bad. Alright. So that's number 1. Should be about right there. So if we hit 3, and that says it's receiving, and we can start shooting tomatoes. And this doesn't want to fit in here because of the nature of that. So if we hit 2, go. Yep. This somehow got 1 shorter than I thought it was, but it's fine. I'll have to extend it by 1 at some point. There we go. And then U. So that should be a stable load. Okay, so make sure we turn the timer off. We retract the shooter, and we close the lift gate, and here we go. Gotta go around the lake, unfortunately, but... And this is like... I created this world, like, pretty soon after Survival came out. And I've noticed that The tops of my warehouses use different materials than the tops of my buddies' warehouses. So I may need to, stick to my other world. But I just want to show off the transport capabilities of my Quackers truck, my Quackers flatbed with liftgate, as it is on the workshop. And the versatility therein. Oh, I have a couple of walk crates that I pushed out of the warehouse with my hammer. You don't get anything for trying to turn them in. They're just... I don't know what to do with them, what they're for, anything like that. But yeah, that's a showcase of the capabilities of the Quackers truck. I mean, this one's heavily modified versus the one that's on the workshop, but if you want to talk about heavily modified, my mining truck is worse off yet. But yeah, there she is.